Good morning, grade twos. Happy Monday. Today we're going to move on to a new unit called Fighting for a Cause. I want you to please think about what fighting for a cause means. Fighting in this case does not really mean that we're using fists or physically hitting another person. Here, the word fighting means working hard to accomplish something, and cause is a goal or a good reason. So, fighting for a cause means working hard to reach a goal or working hard for a good reason. In this unit, we're going to learn about the 7 people in the American history who fought for a good cause. Imagine that on a hot sunny day, I walk into our classroom with a bag full of popsicles. Then I say, "Class, I will be giving a popsicle to everyone in this room except for those with blue eyes. Those with blue eyes don't deserve to get a popsicle. So Lorenzo, Jordana, Timur, Liliana, you may all get to enjoy this popsicle. But Thomas, since you have blue eyes, you could not have a popsicle." Does this sound like a fair deal? How do you think Thomas would feel in this situation? Let's think about it for a couple of seconds and we will have a discussion. In this case, Thomas may feel very sad because he is not getting a popsicle that everybody else gets to have. Others may feel bad for Thomas but may not be able to say anything to Miss Kim because they either don't really care or are afraid of how Miss Kim will react. This is an example of discrimination. Discrimination is when someone is being treated unfairly not because of what they did, but because of what they have, such as their looks, race, age, or gender. In this case, Thomas can fight for his equality, which is fighting for his rights. He can fight for the rights to enjoy a popsicle like everybody else in his classroom. Just like how Thomas is able to fight for his rights to get a popsicle, throughout history, people have had to stand up and demand that they be treated fairly. They have fought for equal rights for themselves and for others. You have to be very brave to stand up for what you believe in. Over the next couple of weeks, you will find out about the 7 people who took a stand against inequality and demanded certain rights. You will discover that most of these people lived a long time ago, but what they achieved affected us today. They made the world a much fairer place to live. They fought for equal rights for everyone. One of the types or categories of rights people have is called civil rights. Civil rights are those rights the government gives to people. Civil rights in the United States include freedom of speech, the right to vote, and protection from discrimination. Civil rights also include the right to be treated equally under the law. Different countries have different ideas about civil rights, but the people you will hear in this domain all live in the United States, so you will learn about the civil rights in the United States. Many of the people in the stories that follow had to fight for some of the rights we enjoy today. However, these people didn't fight with violence. They fought with words and with peaceful actions. As a result, they changed the world for the better. For a very long time, people weren't protected by any rights at all. For hundreds, even thousands of years, people were at the mercy of those in charge. Monarchs, such as kings, military leaders, or tribal leaders, governed with an iron fist. Over time, people began to demand some rights. They wanted to select their leaders, they wanted to vote, they wanted to own property, and they wanted the right to practice a religion the way they wanted to. Gradually, governments started giving people rights and freedoms. Today, we live in a country that cares about its citizens and their rights. Even in the United States, however, the government and some more powerful groups of people have not always treated everyone fairly and equally. They even kept certain groups of people from having some same rights. Some very brave people have fought to change this, and you will learn about them in this domain. Today, US or Canadian citizens have the right to vote for their leaders. But did you know that for a long time, women did not have the right to vote in the United States? It wasn't until less than 100 years ago, in the 1920s, that all women were granted or given the right to vote. This change to the law happened after women protested, marched, and fought for the right. Until the mid 1860s, in parts of the United States, many African Americans were slaves. Even after slavery was abolished or ended, in some states, African Americans did not have the same legal rights as white people and were not treated equally. In the South, for example, African Americans were not allowed to attend certain schools or eat at certain restaurants. Barriers were also placed in their way when African Americans tried to vote. In this domain, you will learn about two people who helped to defeat or end this inequality. With their supporters, they marched, demanded, and fought for equal rights. Finally, in 1964, about 100 years after slavery ended, the Civil Rights Act became law. This act removed unfair laws by prohibiting or ending discrimination. Throughout the history of this country, there have been certain people dedicated to making sure that all citizens have the civil rights they deserve. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers, wrote the words, "All men are created equal." He wrote those words a very long time ago in a document called the Declaration of Independence. This document was a letter of protest against the unfair treatment of the colonists by the British. The colonists fought for their rights and freedoms and founded or started a new nation, the United States of America. In this domain, you will find out about 7 individuals who, like Thomas Jefferson and other founding fathers, stood up for what they believed in. Here is a quick introduction to each person and his or her achievements. As we learn about these 7 people that made a great impact to fight for the civil rights in our world, I want you to remember that these people had courage. Sometimes they were bullied or threatened, but this did not stop them from doing what they knew was right. This is it for today's lesson. Please look forward to learning about who these 7 people were in the United States and answer the questions that I have attached in Google Classroom. Have a great day. Bye for now.